Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 109 of the Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast. The transfer window has just closed on the 3rd of February, 4th of February?
3rd.
I missed the end of January, I don't know why we changed that, we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
So we talk about how dull, particularly the January transfer window, has become for clubs in Scotland. We will also be reviewing Falkirk versus Livingston's big game last weekend. Good versus evil, and the turns that have gone on there, as well as some interesting transfers that have gone on over the course there. And we were at the hockey again last weekend for the first time in a while. The Glasgow Clan threw at Braehead Arena, who have recently upped their game a little bit. They've got some disco lights installed, and more importantly, a Jumbotron. So we'll be putting to you why we think we should see more Jumbotrons at football games and how feasible it is. Anyway, joining myself, Positive Paul, is Jolly John. Hello, Jolly John. How are you?
Hello, Positive Paul.
I don't know.
I'm okay.
We're obviously feeling. I mean, you'll be feeling good as a Falkirk fan this week, aren't you?
I'm buzzing. I'm genuinely delighted.
As an Aberdeen fan, things can't really be going any better right now. So,
yes,
tremendous. We'll get right into that. So, shall we get straight on with things?
Let's do it.
Right. So, transfer window has slammed shut at an awkward time. Did they change it so it didn't clash with fixtures and things, and they were getting a bit too lazy with their midnight shenanigans? And
yeah, I'm not too sure. I thought it was closing either the Friday or the Saturday, the 31st.
Right.
I don't know why it was the 3rd of February.
We don't get those Sky moments anymore.
It's not quite there. It's not the same Jim White yellow tie kind of thing.
Well, I was covering a PE lesson the other day, and when you cover a PE lesson, do you know what that means?
I don't know, stick enough movie.
Sports documentary, quite right, John.
Oh, okay.
Easy guess. So we
Cool Runnings?
No, on iPlayer there was a documentary about the Galacticos, like Real Madrid.
Really show them something good like Sir Alex Ferguson.
Here.
Aberdeen 83, whatever it was.
Well, I thought they would have seen that before. But ironically, the Real Madrid team that won like back-to-back Champions Leagues or something like that, which not that long ago.
Nope.
The kids referred to it as the dinosaur era. And I nearly slapped them about the face because I was like, your era has nothing. And I was like, you're a grumpy old man. You really are a grumpy old man.
Like, they don't know what the true Galacticos was when we were growing up, though.
Bale, Ronaldo.
I'm going even further back than
Benzema,
that. The original R9.
Yeah, all that.
Beckham.
Anyway,
Johnny Woodgate.
Once. Okay, we're good. Michael Owen.
Michael Owen.
Who's the ball? Thomas Gravison. Technically. Anyway, where was I? Yes, when this documentary finished, it automatically rolled on to like transfer deadline day stories, and it was Peter Odemwingie, and I was like, "Friggin' blast from the past!"
It was pretty much every transfer window for the whole time he was in England.
Well, he was tremendous because he literally drove to. I think he drove to was it Tottenham or Portsmouth? He drove to.
Oh God!
Oh, it was Queen's Park Rangers. That's who it was.
When he was at West Brom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was a Harry Redknapp thing, so he just drove, and of course he immediately gets papped round the corner, and I was like, yeah, we don't have those exciting moments anymore.
Aye.
I don't know about you, but I just keep seeing 80, 90 million people signed, and I can't tell you the last person that's been signed for 80 or 90 million that's actually worked out.
Yeah, this is, I think it's because like so desensitised to a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like money-wise, it's totally...
About 50 million back in the day for like.
I mean, it was massive. You remember particularly the Fernando Torres going from Liverpool
to Chelsea.
Liverpool to Chelsea for £50 million. You're thinking,
Madness.
my God. And then I think subsequently Liverpool signed Andy Carroll and
oh yeah, for 35 million.
Yeah, is it Kevin Nolan? Is it or something like that? It was like the double signing.
35 million for Andy Carroll.
Like again at that time, like outrageous money. Robinho for like nearly 39, 40 million.
Oh, at Man City.
As soon as Man City started to get their checkbook out, it's not that exciting to me. That this transfer window, particularly down in England, has been all about Marcus Rashford, who, when you see his mugshots now, he's looking a little bit of a broken man. You know.
Oh well,
and that's not exciting.
When you're on 300 grand a week,
you're not going to
It's getting quite a lot of stick in the media at the moment.
Yeah, and even I suppose now as well, inflated salaries and stuff like that. The John Duran deal for going from Aston Villa to Saudi Arabia, he's going to get paid. I think it's like can't remember the precise figures. It was basically like he's earning like £6 a second or something like that. And if you calculate it up, it's a phenomenal amount of money, all tax free.
But we're never going to see him again. Do you remember
I think we will after 3 or 4 years when he's not done very much. He will come crawling back to Europe.
See, I remember the fun times when everyone was going to MLS. They would always come back on loan for like a couple of months during the winter period. Although I do hear that they're thinking about changing their season structure, which would put kibosh to that.
Oh, the MLS?
Yes, I think they're going for a traditional like August to whatever.
I'm surprised at that because that will clash with pretty much every other major American sport apart from baseball. That's prime NFL, that's prime basketball.
You tuned in for the Super Bowl this weekend?
No.
Do you think Travis Kelce will propose
I don't know
to
who
Taylor
that is.
Swift?
Oh, him, right.
What do you mean you don't know who that is?
I don't care.
We had a conversation in the staff room today and they didn't know who Chapel Roan was.
I don't know who that is either.
Do you know who Chapel Roan?
No.
H-O-D-D-O-G. You know that song?
No.
Listen to the radio, son. There'll be a Falkirk chant anytime soon and you'll be missing out.
I'll stick to the Stone Roses, Lightning Seeds, better bands.
Which is very popular amongst our listeners. I don't know if I said that ever amongst the podcast. But like, funny enough, you talk about America, like in the NBA the other day, there was Luka Doncic.
Right.
Who's one of the best basketball, like the best of the best, okay?
Right. Yep.
Well, the top 3 NBA players has been traded to the Lakers for like Anthony Davis, and everyone's like, what? This trade is like blown everyone's mind. Similar in hockey, a guy called Mikko Rantanen's been traded and he is mind-blowingly good for others, and yet we just, especially in Scotland, we're not having that same punch. And in particular, I brought this up to you earlier, was, what you probably want, what I would like to see is players that are playing well in the Premiership transfer to other Premiership teams. Now, I give you par example. Lee Miller went from Dundee United to Aberdeen. It was a very exciting transfer. Worked out very well for Aberdeen. Mm-hmm. Others, there are probably a few. We talked about earlier, like back in the day, if you played well in the SPFL, you went to the Old Firm.
Yeah, they would buy up the kind of cream of the rest, which was always a kind of cynical point of they're doing that to make sure that these guys don't get too good or challenges. But we were kind of talking about this just before we kind of started recording. It was whether or not these guys actually worked out, and the perception immediately is no, they don't work out. It's a terrible move.
What?
It never comes through.
Scott Brown.
Well, yeah, this is it. So if you actually look back at it, a lot of these guys did really well. Stephen A. Smith,
Stephen A. Smith, yeah, and then he papped them when they papped it. That event shall not be named. Yes, exactly.
There's always been that. There was a lot of kind of house players around about sort of between 2006 up to maybe 2008, 9.
Mm-hmm.
Even guys like Gary O'Connor must have went to Russia first. Then he kind of came back. Derek Riordan, I think, went to Celtic.
Riordan went to Celtic
quite quickly. Gary Caldwell did.
Whittaker.
Whittaker did. Oh God, there was a few others. They went right out of my head. I wrote all this down before a couple of weeks
ago. There's a document for a different podcast we were actually doing, and I
cannot find the document, which is driving me insane. But there was really quite a few, and they were all aged, if I remember right, around about kind of 22 to 24.
Sort of early.
So they weren't incredibly young. They were getting to that point where they had proved themselves in the Scottish Premiership.
Yep.
And I think that's the critical bit. They had done incredibly well, if you're looking at the Hibs cohort in particular. I'm sure they won the League Cup around that time. They beat Livingston in 2004, I'm sure. In the League Cup. Maybe. They certainly got to the final. Scottish Cup obviously never happened.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I know the Scottish Cup was the one that was the duck on the back.
That was 2016. So we're talking early 2000s, mid-2000s. Again, Kilmarnock, I'm pretty confident, they got to the League Cup final around about 2007-8 because they beat Falkirk in the semi-final. Stephen A. Smith played in that.
Yeah,
I think Chris Boyd was probably at Rangers by that point, but that's another guy who took the step up.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember where Kirk Broadfoot came from.
St Mirren?
Potentially. Again, he went to Rangers and played for quite a period of time with them.
Yep.
So, yeah, when you start to look into it, there are quite a few, particularly Scottish individuals who have actually gone to the Old Firm and done all right, or in fact done really well.
Yes.
In a lot of respects. So it's not as bad as it looks. And I think
it's not happening anymore, though, is it?
Well, they're still going. They're going fewer and fewer, I think. Because they're basically because people want to go to Italy and be all fancy. Or go down to England and chase money.
Yes.
But if you're looking at sort of certainly the 2 or 3 most recent ones would be, if you're looking one each, Luke McCowan going to Celtic, Conor Barron going to Rangers. These are probably 2 live examples. Neither of them are really
prod them on the
they're
table.
not quite there yet. I think Luke McCowan's more likely to come good than Conor Barron.
Okay.
Just because I think once Cal McGregor begins to step away, McCowan will start to play more, and he might
Get
start
more
to
game
resume
time.
that kind of position. I don't know if he's as good, but it's maybe a kind of
But actually,
apprentice becoming the master type thing.
someone like McGregor took a while to sort of bed
To
in.
come through
didn't
because he had kind of Scott Brown in front of him,
he? Aye.
and as soon as Scott Brown left, then suddenly Cal McGregor's like front and centre, and you can't deny he's been an incredible player for them.
Oh yeah,
He's
no doubts.
played really quite well for Scotland as well, so that's really good, and you're hoping McCowan will do the same, particularly from a Scotland perspective. Conor Barron, I'm just not sold. I think there
Don't think many people are.
was too much baggage with him going from Aberdeen to Rangers. All this nonsense about his development fee seems to kind of be dragging him down a little bit. Injuries, his sort of stature and where he wants to play. Yeah, it's not going to really work, is it?
Rangers have plugged away. The pre-contract thing seems to be their gig, and they do have that lads from Dundee
Lyle Cameron coming in.
coming
Who
in.
I think
the summer.
he's got far more potential. I
Okay.
think he's actually a really good player. I think from if you were a Dundee fan, you'd be really quite disappointed to lose McCowan and then Lyle Cameron this season.
They have got quite the factory there in Dundee.
Well, they've done all right, to be fair.
Yeah.
Jogging the memory, Nacho Novo would have been another one.
Well, that's a real. But the problem,
That would have been that kind of time.
the problem with the Nacho Nova era, that was just at the end of the big money telly.
Big money Dundee, yeah.
Because they had like did they have
Claudio
Caniggia?
Caniggia, they had Speroni in goals, I think.
Aye, they did. Oh, very early on.
Yeah,
Aye.
but
And then
nevertheless.
he went and played for another 30 years, and I think still came back to Dundee for his testimonial. Funny enough,
Stevie Lovell. He was at Dundee at that time.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was
No, the one that went to Aberdeen, the Stevie Lovell, not the English pundit Stevie Lovell.
Oh right, okay. I was about to say like the good one or the one that was with Amy McDonald before Ricky Foster
That
managed to. I got you. But Aberdeen managed to get Charlie Nicholas from Arsenal. You know, way back when.
Ah,
You know,
different
that's,
times.
That's not happening anymore. He's just been inducted to their Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, I think his reputation precedes him from other football clubs rather than Aberdeen. There, but don't wasn't there at the time. But yeah, I just remember I used to love like Sky Sports, the top scorers feeds and stuff like that. And as soon as you saw, whoa, Naismith has got more goals than Rangers and Celtic players, he's going. Boyd is going. Nadir Chifchi is going. That one didn't maybe pan out so well. Whereas now there's not many people that are able to get. You know, we don't have as many young exciting Scottish players. And one thing as well, the only Scottish transfer I saw was a loan between Ross County and Hibs, in terms of Scottish club to Scottish club, confirmed in the Premiership. And there's no Championship players have gone up, or League One players that have gone up during the January window either, has there?
Not that I can recall. I am sure there's probably been one that we've missed.
I couldn't see it on the Sky Sports feed. So again, we'd like to see more of that.
Oh, actually, I tell a lie. Harry Milne
Okay.
going from Partick to Hearts. So I think they actually paid money for him as well.
Right.
Because I remember looking at that, because playing Football Manager, I've got my Charlton save, and I've actually signed Harry
2 years
Milne
ago.
for Charlton, and he's actually really good. So I'm like,
Okay.
this could work out.
Yeah.
Also signed Callum Morrison for Charlton as well from Falkirk. So I might delete the save.
So, speaking of Championship signings, Curtis Main signed for Ayr United. Do you think that could be a needle turn?
I mean, that actually could be. I mean, he's been hopeless everywhere else he's went, but
We did see him tear Aberdeen apart in a semi-final not that long ago.
well, that was years ago.
Well, that's the thing. Dundee doesn't really seem to have worked out for him.
Aberdeen never worked out for him either.
Oh my gosh, yeah, remember that. That's the last one was past. Bigger news in the Scottish Championship is there's been a lot going on at Westfield down in Grangemouth.
Oh, yeah.
In that
Buzzing.
Callum Morrison is out the door. I've heard fees such as £250,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reckoning it's probably more like 50,000. But did he have 18 months left on his deal?
At 18 months left, I signed a long-term deal last...
All right.
Must have been about this time last year.
I thought it was maybe 6 months, but nonetheless. So he's off to Linfield. We'll cover that in a wee second. And they have replaced him with Scott Arfield.
Homecoming.
Yes. 20 years, or was it 15?
15 years.
15 years after things began. So I did not know this was in the works, to be fair. This was a surprise to me. I think one or two people had been anticipating it. What were your initial impressions?
Yeah, well, from an emotional point of view, I'm absolutely buzzing. Like, I'm genuinely ecstatic to see him back. It's nostalgia based. It's
absolutely
completely emotional. I have no idea how many games he'll be able to play, where he'll play, who he's going to displace potentially. But to have that kind of guy and the experience he's had, the affinity he has to the club, and you can hear that in the way he speaks, it's tremendous. To have that, it's been such a lift, because certainly from I think we kind of spoke about it previously, but from the kind of Dunfermline game around the kind of Christmas time, there's been a little bit of kind of slight panic, tension, anxiety within the kind of Falkirk support and the club, just in terms of the way results have kind of started to go. That is all just completely forgotten about, and it's brilliant. It's amazing. Livy, who that result, completely nonsense. We've signed Scott Arfield, we're winning the league, and that's
even though they're currently second.
Yeah, I mean it's a complete mentality change to get this guy in, and on top of that, as much as Scott Arfield coming in, from like an emotional point of view, fantastic. Signing Luke Graham back on loan is the biggest or the most important signing we've made.
Yeah.
This January transfer window by a mile.
Okay.
Like between him and Liam Henderson, before he was recalled back to Dundee, were a terrific partnership. Barely conceded. We looked really quite rock solid at the back. We looked a wee bit more suspicious when he left, and it was sort of bringing in Donaldson, and we've now kind of moved to a back three, which looks a wee bit kind of unusual. Doesn't feel like a kind of McGlynn system. So yeah, having Luke Graham back, that's the critical bit. And if he can basically kind of hit the ground running again, title race is really on properly.
Well, that's good to hear. Scott Arfield's statistics, 36 years old, was at Bolton Wanderers, which I don't think many knew. Has been a bit of a maraud since Rangers. Spent a bit of time in the States or Canada.
He went to, I don't know if he actually went to Canada, but he certainly played for Charlotte in the US, States, in MLS.
He would have flown to Canada on occasion to play with Canadian teams.
Played Vancouver or something.
So he played in North America for a wee while. I didn't realise he'd come back to Bolton Wanderers. It's great to see, because actually you don't really see many players go beyond their early 30s anymore.
Not that kind of level. I mean, I was astonished when he left Charlotte, or it was sort of said he was going to be leaving there. I actually thought at that point he was coming back to Falkirk, because what other kind of window was really open? You've just left the MLS and not done an awful lot. To then sign for an ambitious team down in England in League One in Bolton.
I thought it was Falkirk were ambitious.
I found that a bit of a strange one. He's obviously not managed to make any impact whatsoever at Bolton. It's an age thing. It's the sort of pace of the game there in England. That kind of thing. It's not for him. And he's made the right decision to come home.
If nothing else, it is a morale boost, and he will likely play his last game and his first game in a Falkirk shirt, which
I think
is quite something.
I don't know, I didn't bother reading the article to just see exactly what the contract was. I was too excited just to see the pictures. I would anticipate it's probably till the end of the season to see how things go.
I would have guessed so, yeah.
I could be wrong. Could be 18 months. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's massive. Like,
on the reverse side of things, what happened with Callum Morrison?
It's disappointing, and it's certainly put a massive sort of shadow over what would otherwise have been really quite a well thought of player, as you kind of look back historically. The club legend's a bit of a stretch, but it would have been a kind of like remembered player for everything he'd done, for the goals he scored.
Yes.
He kind of showed up in big moments when a lot of the guys around them were just hopeless and not interested. It's been a real shame the way it's ended for a lot of guys, for a lot of Falkirk fans. He's basically dead to them, like, totally irrelevant. I don't know if an agent's got in his ear. I don't know if there's been a falling out somewhere, probably. But at the end of the day, we've cashed in when we've had the opportunity, and it's produced what we've produced. I mean, with like 4 signings on transfer deadline day.
Very busy.
On the back of I agree in the figure. I read 250,000 was being sort of reported in Northern Irish media. If they've paid 250 grand, well, no problem.
Do
We
Linfield
will
have
take
any
that.
European cash coming in?
They must do.
Well, then 250 is actually probably a viable figure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they'll be paying them much more than what we were. They probably will a little bit.
If they've got European money, that blows
European
your
money.
budget so much bigger
Massively.
than
I mean, I think
any of the Championship clubs.
a lot of people are going to be making the comparison. They say, well, Linfield get smaller average attendances. The Northern Irish Premiership is probably on a par with the Scottish Championship in terms of quality, attendances, all that kind of stuff. But like you say, it's he will likely win the league quite comfortably with Linfield most seasons and not.
Yeah.
He will play in Europe, your European qualifiers. We'll caveat that with an asterisk.
And will parachute into a Conference League or something like that.
Potentially. So they'll probably hoping they're going to do like a Larn or a... Is it Shamrock? I think we're in the Conference League as well. So that's probably what they're hoping for. And that's what it was he's hoping for.
Yes.
And I may get slagged for it, but you know, good luck to him. I want to take a workout from him. He's been
a tremendous servant.
Yeah, he's been a really good player. He's been one of the few guys over the last 4 or 5 years where you can go, you know, he was a really, really good player and really well liked.
He did more than one season in League One, didn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he could have left a good couple of times and he didn't.
I think the Championship was maybe the level. And again, I was speaking to a colleague at work about this. I was like, what do you think's happening? And we were sort of postulating that he had returned from injury, not immediately gone back into the team, and then thrown the dummies out the pram because he is number one man.
Yeah, he thinks he's star man. He's MVP.
And in fairness, I think it's hard to argue against the fact that he is the best player in the Falkirk team.
For individual moments, yes, I think.
But
you're right.
That's what you, and we'll get to this when we talk about the Livingston game later on. Those are the people that win you the leagues. Now, again, attitude and things like that, as obviously he likes to be the big fish in the small pond. And as you say, Linfield fits that perfectly. I always thought he would have angled for a Premiership. You know, I thought he would have one last go because Hearts didn't really work out in the first instance. Again, speaking to some Hearts fans, he wasn't good enough.
No, he's not. Well, this is it. He's not good enough for the Scottish Premiership.
But surely, like a Ross County, a St Johnstone, there's something there.
It's maybe a good time to start bringing in that Livingston game because the way Livingston played on Friday is exactly what you need to survive in the Scottish Premiership. So if you're Ross County, if you're Kilmarnock, if you're St Johnstone, maybe they're not doing it right. That's why they're bottom. But
this is expert punditry.
Honestly, it is.
Celtic, I think they're doing something correctly. They're winning the league. St Johnstone, they're not doing it right.
But, well, I mean, Celtic can go out and get phenomenally good players. I mean, like
we didn't talk about Jota or Schlupp.
Jeffrey Schlupp.
That totally passed me by. I did not know that happened.
The Jota signing, the songs that have been stuck in my head pretty much since he signed, which is really frustrating because it's good and I don't like it being good. But we kind of bring in the Livingston game. So Livingston are a bunch of kind of anti-footballist 6'4" monsters, but
not all of them.
The vast majority of them.
Stevie May, Scott Pittman, Muirhead is not a...
Stevie May leading with the elbow.
Can I just... Okay, are we going to talk about the Livingston game now?
Well, we'll sort of bring it in because it's relevant to the point of why Cal Morrison wouldn't be good in the Scottish Premiership. He would get bullied on a weekly basis.
He didn't play that game though.
It wouldn't matter. He would get bullied rotten.
I don't know. He didn't play that game because the other lads weren't good enough. Because I think you pointed this out before. I can't remember if it was Adams or something that was on the wing. Just kept giving up every time he was filled and not making a big enough deal, and they continue to do that. Yes. So Livingston turned up to the Falkirk Stadium last Friday night. Televised game. I think there was a lot of eyeballs on this.
Oh, huge! Yeah, this was a massive game.
Yeah.
Like,
proper punditry. Jonathan Sutherland was out with Lee Miller and...
was it Marvin Bartley?
I think it was Marvin Bartley. And then Leanne on comms with... I think the bloke that does open all mics, can't remember. And they lose the game 2-1. And the second defeat to Livingston this season, well and truly proving that Livingston very much have their number.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I'll absolutely admit that. I mean...
And also relegating them after the weekend's results to second in the table behind Scott Brown's Ayr United.
Yeah. We do have a game in hand, though.
Do have a game in hand, but yes, this is very much a case of beautiful football against pragmatism and agriculture. Yeah. And Livingston are bullying Bruisers, and they got ahead. And that makes life so difficult for the opposing team.
Yeah, it is exceptionally frustrating. I mean, this was... I can't think of a kind of good kind of like comparison. It was basically theory versus practice.
It's men versus boys to a certain extent.
No, I mean, it's... Like I say, it was... I called it anti-football, which is maybe I've been incredibly harsh and bitter.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's effective. I mean, they have won the game doing the dirty stuff. And fundamentally, that's got them 3 points. That's put them really back into the fight for promotion to win the league.
Totally.
In a massive way. Now, there's a reason why they're not top of the league, or they weren't top of the league up to that point, is because other teams are able to kind of combat that. Falkirk can't. For whatever reason, they just can't do it. We completely changed our system. We put on as many of the big guys as we possibly could on the park, and we still struggled. We tried to kind of match up a wee bit.
Yeah.
Falkirk aren't good at the rolling about greeting every time they're touched. If they had done that, different story, because I think they would have got themselves wound up.
I will say,
we just couldn't. We just can't get into it. We just get sucked in, and we try to be. I'm too honest. Makes me sound like I'm being really, really bitter. But you know, there was a few times where Stephen May led with the elbow, no question, and he was getting away with it, and he knew he was getting away with it.
Watching it on the television, as a unbiased person, he was probably one of my men of the match. Because
it was effective.
Do you know what? Mind when we saw him at Aberdeen against Hearts, he was the slowest player on planet Earth. Who's that ancient Hearts defender with the grey hair? Michael...
Oh God, there was hundreds of them.
The fullback, Michael Smith.
Oh God, yes.
Couldn't run faster than Michael Smith, who at the time was 38 or 37. And he ran Falkirk players down. He didn't do very... he wasn't getting the ball off them, but he was putting pressure on them. And he was clever. He's manoeuvring his body into positions. And he's fouling in areas of the pitch that aren't important. Therefore, he's not getting penalised. So, he's being clever about what he's doing. Now, I actually think the refereeing this game was harsher than it was at Livingston. I think there was more yellow cards handed out to Livingston players.
In this game, yeah, absolutely.
And I do think they let one or two Falkirk things go as well.
Yeah, same kind of thing. It was fouls in the middle of the area.
Yes.
Middle of the pitch. So, I agree.
And that's what Falkirk lack, is a clever, experienced players.
It's streetwiseness to be effective in the game. That we just don't have that for whatever reason. If it's the way that we are being coached or taught how to play, the way we're kind of being set up with McGlynn, is to not do the nasty stuff. Yeah. If we had started to kind of do the nasty stuff, if we had started to kind of play act to the challenges that were going in, you start asking questions of the ref in that scenario. So.
But then, are they good from dead ball positions? I mean,
not especially. Well, so this is the other thing. You can whip in as many balls as you like. Like I say, Livingston are just the land of the giants. It's all 6'4" guys who will quite happily head the ball away all day, every day.
We've even got long throwers.
Got everything. Which does kind of scrambling as well, because it's so competitive that we're not used to that.
Yep.
The other thing I kind of noticed as well is Livingston played an incredibly high line. They basically had their back four all in the halfway line. Particularly when we had any kind of indirect free kicks, anything kind of coming in from the goalkeeper, any kind of goal kicks, and we didn't really have the kind of the pace or the guys in the park who were going to be like getting behind.
Yes.
So that was a bit of a problem as well. And then, to be fair, when we got our goal back came from kind of Calvin Miller actually taking a guy on, beating him and putting Barney Stewart through. There was a bit of a soft penalty, but so was theirs.
He made two movements to try and take him down, and I agree. He sort of almost kind of touches him.
Yeah, it's minimal at best. I mean,
but you can't do that.
Yeah,
like you just in the box
again.
You didn't need to do it.
Compared to what I said the last time, this one wasn't actually Nicky Hogarth's fault. I think the defenders let this guy run through when it just shouldn't have been the case.
Okay. Although his kicking is horrendously bad.
Shocking. Yeah, I mean, there's an entire podcast on why Falkirk should have signed a goalkeeper this January transfer window. But nevertheless, that kind of cost them. The second goal is Hogarth's fault and the defence's fault. It's so weak, it's so pathetic. They all just fall over each other. There's basically 4 Falkirk players lying on the line.
They just need to
batters it in.
They need to get in there, because basically what happens was it McAteer?
I can't remember who scored, but I was just so angry.
I can't remember if McAteer or McAleer or something like that. But he basically digs the ball out of his feet. And which you couldn't see, there's the Falkirk player on the line, and the Falkirk player stood next to him. I can't remember if it was McKeever or someone else. But they're basically standing looking at it, thinking that the other one, and then after the goal goes in, they both throw their arms up, and it's like, you need to dig your foot in and get that away from him.
They're too scared to get into the challenge, for us too scared to get bookings. I have no idea. But when you watch that goal back as well, just watch Hogarth. Just watch him.
Okay.
He's weak. You know, he's got. I'm fairly confident he's got a Livingston player kind of standing quite close by him, kind of blocking him off.
Yeah.
I actually thought, very briefly, I was like, well, that's maybe interfering with the goalkeeper. That could be.
Yeah, called.
Maybe a foul or
good luck without VAR
or anything like that. But it's not, and I'm just wanting there to be something wrong with it. But fundamentally, it's just really poor defending. And like I said, that's the kind of thing that's costing us quite dearly at the moment.
Wow.
When we do go back in get ourselves back into it, he immediately subs off Ross McKeever, which I thought was just bizarre.
I don't think he'd done much, had he?
Well, it didn't really matter. I mean, he took him off, and I can't remember who he brought on, but it completely nullified anything going forward. I mean, we just got ourselves back into the game. You want McKeever and Barney still on the park. You still want these guys kind of battling.
Barney did miss 1 or 2 good chances in the first half, one of which he probably should have buried.
Yeah, certainly early doors.
Yeah,
first couple of minutes. He's still a young lad. He's still very much kind of finding his feet. I mean, he basically came from.
What?
Oh, were they playing the East of Scotland First Division or something like that?
He was a keen bunny rabbit. He ran after everything.
He ran his heart out more than what McKeever did, which is fair. That's probably why he stayed on the park for longer. But we just needed the two of them to stay on a little bit longer, because they were getting. That was our prime opportunity to get back into it.
Yeah,
we had figured out, if you get the ball to Calvin Miller, take the guy on. He can't tackle him. It took
them too long to do that.
And again, that killed it.
This is where Livingston had the edge, in that they were adaptive with their tactics. As soon as they scored, there was a whole new shape.
Yeah, massively.
And it was
sit back,
hugely defensive. And then,
the wall. Yep.
Later when they scored another goal, there was a change in shape, and they just kept moving things around.
They were just, like I said, they were just infinitely more street smart than we were.
Clever, yeah.
And that's got them the 3 points again against us, and we've been found wanting again in a kind of big fixture
game
like this.
I think this proves that playoff football will not go well. What they have on their side is consistency and good play against mediocre teams. I
mean, we'll be able to continue what we're doing against. We've got like a good result against Wraith in the league after what had happened in the cup.
Rubbish.
So that's great. I mean, that kind of proves that we can kind of get these kind of results against teams that are basically from kind of Partick down, that kind of 4th to 10th.
But they've had these tremendous run of results. Like, they've barely dropped points at all.
There's
not even been a lot of draws. And Ayr have still gone above them. I find that utterly mental, that it is still so tight at the top of that league.
I mean, they've just been just as consistent, and they've also beat us.
Madness.
I think did we win the home game? I think we might have won the home game.
I think so, yeah.
But they beat us at Somerset. I wasn't at the game. There's obviously an incredibly dodgy decision in terms of Luke Graham getting sent off for handball,
right,
which was rescinded.
These things happen.
It's going to come down to that game. Actually, that'll be a week on Saturday. We're at home to Ayr. We play Partick on this Saturday at home. Ayr at home again. So we need 6 points out of that if we're going to keep in this fight, basically.
That's the thing, is that you just get the feeling if Falkirk slick back, it's going to be hard to get back into it.
Yeah, this is it. It's
for any of them, really.
We're at that kind of moment where we're the ones kind of losing a bit of momentum. Maybe Livingston are beginning to pick up a bit of momentum, and Ayr seem to be in their stride at the moment. Now, they had a sticky patch a few weeks ago. We're in that at the moment. It's how quickly they get yourself out of it and get back on again. Time will tell on that part. But at the moment, if I'm being completely unbiased and taking my Falkirk hat off, I think Ayr are probably just about in the driving seat to win the league. Now, obviously, if Scott Arfield comes in and is just phenomenal and absolutely cruises it, then I have no problem. You're no losing another game this season. But
he could have bossed it in League One. I think here's a bit of a different story.
It could be a better
I think he might still have an impact, but aye. It is a very to be frank,
it's fascinating.
It is the most interesting story probably in Scottish football right now. And Ayr United going into the Premiership would be quite a sensational story.
Yeah, again, if I'm being completely unbiased, having Somerset Park in the Scottish Premiership would be pretty cool. I mean, it's tremendous as an old style stadium, yes. And to see that back in the top flight completely blows out any kind of rubbish about all-seater stadiums or the requirements for safe standing. It is old school terracing. It is exactly what you want.
But Falkirk are also long overdue.
But we are
another stint as well.
Well, listen, I mean, we've just came out kind of like the 5 years in the doldrums of League One. I mean, again, if you've been the kind of harsh reality on this is, if Falkirk went into the Scottish Premiership with the squad that we have, we would be decimated every week.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think we would.
But you look at Livingston came down, and has their squad changed that much? It has changed a bit.
Not really, but it's a style of player that you need to survive.
Right.
I think we would struggle. We would be able to pick up results here and there against like Hibs on an off day, or a kind of unusual or amazing kind of 1-0 win over Celtic at Falkirk Stadium, which would be like 12 o'clock on a Sunday. And you pick up points here and there, but fundamentally over a season, the current squad isn't physically strong enough.
Well, I think you've seen that. Like, their only defeats aside from that Livingston game at home, I think Dundee United in the League Cup, in the group stages, has happened a few times.
Celtic eventually overran them in the League Cup at 5-2.
That's the thing, when they turned on the burners. I
mean, they did beat Hearts 2-0, but this was like Hearts when they were just dreadful.
Yes. Yes. But we will wait and see. Either way, it's going to be an interesting story. Again, the playoffs is not an option.
I don't want to go through it. Like, I can't cope. I genuinely can't cope. Like.
And again, can you keep this team together next year?
I think most of them are contracted till 2026.
Okay.
So guys like Calvin Miller, Ethan Ross, I think Ashton McKeever as well, Aidan Nesbitt, they're all kind of signed till 2026. So there's obviously been in their mind.
How did he sign that deal?
Oh, I've no idea. I mean, this like if you're looking for
an agent, of an agent who's working their magic there.
Yeah. A lot of the kind of core players are really kind of there for.
Okay.
So I get the feeling
all getting sold if they get promoted.
I get the feeling this has been like a kind of 2-year project. It's just been up to this point. It's been so good, and they've carried it out so well. Yeah, I mean, time will tell, but it's exciting.
And it's to be at the sharp end and to be in the conversation again is a good thing.
It's a nice feeling for sure. I mean,
I think a lot of people are happy to see a team of that ilk back there.
Back in there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're a Scottish Premiership team, do you really want to start having away days back at the Falkirk Stadium? Because it's not the best for away days.
They're a big team. They're bigger than a lot of the bottom half clubs in the Scottish Premiership, aren't they?
I'm letting you say these comments.
Well, they are though. Like,
where they've been accused of being like basically the Leeds of Scotland for amount of away fans and all that.
Well, I mean, yes, they are oversubscribed for what they are. But so are Dunfermline. Dunfermline are exactly the same thing.
Well, I mean, like,
they're prodigal failures as clubs. They are terribly run organisations that should be much higher up the pyramid. I've said that for years. Although they seem to have turned a corner in recent times. I don't know how that happened. But
there's no way clubs like Falkirk and Dunfermline should have the supporter base that they do given the last 5-10 years.
No way. It's absurd.
It shows loyalty.
Indeed.
Blind loyalty.
That's the favourite quantity and quality of football fans. Anyway, who are they playing this weekend?
Home Partick Thistle in the league. Well, everyone else is in the Scottish Cup.
Well, again, they have a habit of bouncing back. When I saw them against Wraith, I thought they were terrible, and then they go beat them away from home the next week.
Yeah, this is it.
Not much that we can garner from that. Anyway, we were at the hockey at the weekend.
More importantly,
having a tremendous time, enjoying the new Jumbotron that has been installed. Not recently, I think as of the start of the season. And you probably have seen on social media the clips of like dance cam and things like that was one of the things they had on. What was the other one? Steel Folks Food or something like that was the...
it was something like that.
Steel Folks Food. And I thought this was tremendous fun. We were in the back of shot briefly,
thankfully,
for dance cam. Now John was not having this. He was not coming on for dance cam.
I was quite content sitting eating my nachos.
But then I was like, oh darn!
Man.
If only we could have been on Steal Your Food as well. I could have grabbed one of your cheesy nachos, and
the rest of them would have been launched at you.
But that would have made entertaining telly. But yeah, so for context, Glasgow Clan is a team in the EIHL, the Elite Ice Hockey League of the United Kingdom. On a good day, filling the Braehead Arenas 3,500, 4,000.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a capacity of 4. Maybe.
So they do sell out from time to time. 3.5. It's basically a Falkirk Stadium-ish, but smaller. Falkirk Stadium 7, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's half the size.
It's a bit like going to, what would be that kind of size? Hamilton's bigger than that. You've got me on the spot there.
You're all like coddled in, right? So for that entertainment experience for 3,500 people max, maybe between 2.5 and 3.5 more often than not, we get flames when the players come out. We get flashing lights. We get a Jumbotron with full broadcast, replay, hilarious scenes of players going to penalty boxes and looking angry and things like that, and an all-round great time. So why? Now, I think this has happened more and more recently. I think Hibs Did Hearts put a screen in recently?
Oh, believe me, I think Hearts have got a screen in.
I think Hearts bought one from the Commonwealth Games, is where that actually came from. And I think Hibs put one in. But yeah, I was just thinking, what fun could be had? Now, also, the problems that could ensue from zooming into a quintessential Scottish football fan and the problems that could cause as well. You see the BT Sport thing the other week, by the way? The Rangers game?
The Alan McCoy, that's not a good look.
See, when I was watching that, I was like, are they singing what I think I'm singing? Singing. They were singing what I thought I was singing. Oh, they're just the best. Just the best. I'm like, Ali. Now, to be fair,
poor timing. I
am going to presume he had his headphones on and wasn't entirely clear on what he was watching. I don't know.
Well, maybe we've been sincere.
Well, but see, that's the thing. Can football fans be trusted with, or would they even be interested in such novelty?
Well, I think the answer to that is no to both. Like they can't be trusted, and no, they don't
could
care.
have megaphone cam, like you see what the megaphone guy's up to, or
you would have to learn how to kind of blur faces in live time. Like,
just get the ultras with their hoods up and stuff. It's fine. I think they could do a little bit more with the show of things. I think football clubs are they just accept what they have.
Well, the supporters are certainly taken for granted.
Yes.
There's no two ways about it. I mean, we'll pay blindly for everything. I mean, look at the price of the Scotland tickets. I still had to queue for an hour to get those tickets.
You did not?
Yeah.
Never had to do that before, have we?
No. I mean, to be fair, when I got through the queue, there was loads of tickets left. But
I hate their Jumbotrons at Hampden, by the way.
Oh, they're dreadful.
They're so stupid because they're longer than anything you can actually put on them.
Oh yeah, you can't.
They're wider. So, and actually, you can't really see it from the other end of Hampden. That's what I liked about when we went to the ice hockey in Canada, is that when you're up in the rafters, there's tellies like directly above you as well. So you can still just like glance up at that and see. Which is another thing that was great about the hockey. My friend was asking me, have you seen The Penguin on HBO?
Oh yeah, and you missed to go.
I missed to go. Now, by the way, every time John goes to Stennismuir, this happens to him. So it was nice to have the Jumbotron, the replay to watch back. Again, football fans, not allowed replays.
Yeah, I'm just I love a study just called Martin, your friend, but
more of a friend than others, I'll certainly say that. So our friend Martin, I think is fair to say.
Martin.
Yes.
Oh, it's your friend Martin and my acquaintance Martin.
Oh, I'll play this back to him next week. This will be one of the clips.
I'm the guy
out there. So yeah, I love the spectacle that ice hockey and things and all the extra around it. Whereas if you're at a football game, halftime comes on, they put some tunes on, and that's it.
Well, I mean, the Falkirk game on Friday, they had some kind of dance trip, like.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, some they were fundraising for their trip to Florida.
What were the cheerleaders called back in the day?
Oh God,
They had cheerleaders.
They did
The Falkirk
something.
I keep seeing adverts for the Fuzzy. Is it the Fuzzy Bairns?
What?
Yeah. If you look in like one of the far corners, there's an organisation called the Fuzzy Bairns, and I'm like, I feel.
Is it not the Fuzzy Bears? No.
I don't. It's not the Fuzzy Bears. Why would that be advertised?
Be
I'm
good.
like, I feel like that should have been named differently, no matter what it is. I mean, Falkirk do have their disco lights in Fairless, which, you know,
It's a start.
I don't think any other club of that size has those installed, though, do they?
God, I want to say yes, but I can't think of any.
Queen's
really
Park,
off the top of my
but,
head.
you know.
Yeah, that's Hampden. I don't think too many others.
Do you like the vibes when they put them on when they scored the goal?
No,
I just find
I didn't get it. I mean, you're just still losing.
That's true.
Like fair enough. If you've just scored like a 93rd minute winner,
Yeah, fair enough.
go bananas, because
Yes.
I will be. But you've just kind of pulled one back after having a dreadful first half.
Yeah.
It's not.
It was funny in the Scott Airfield clip of was it the SPFL channel that announced he was back with the clip of him scoring the penalty against Celtic.
Yes. Oh, the pitch is dreadful.
Oh,
You've
is
seen
it?
that as well. Holy moly! Like,
They used to have a great pitch. But it is still Amarillo they play after they score the goal.
yeah, I mean, it's always been.
All
It's been
those
like that
years
since
ago.
Brockville.
Aye.
But I mean, that's tradition.
Oh yeah,
I'm 100%.
I love a goal tune. Again, I mentioned at Kilmarnock, they had different goal tunes depending on what different scorers you had.
Mhm.
They all had their wee inflections, like Eamon Brophy with his wee wolf thing. Now injured after 20 minutes of football, is it?
Oh, roughly high.
So that's worked out well there. But yeah, I just I feel they could do a wee bit more for the show, and when they try, I think there's good things that happen.
I think
But does it bring any more bums and seats? They're there to see the football. Like, I know that.
at the end of the day, I think it's more a case of trying to encourage the ultras in such a way that isn't going to have a million and one flares kicking off. Things like massive displays,
Mhm.
like car displays. I actually have no problem with smoke bombs and stuff like that, but
The
And
after
a more
effects
kinda-
of smoke bombs get on my...
it's more of a kind of controlled.
Yes.
If you can get that kind of in a more controlled environment,
Yeah.
or like you are more than welcome to kind of set off a couple of flares and smoke bombs once you've signed this disclaimer and there's
Yeah.
a fire bucket beside you. Fine,
I mean,
crack on. But
actually, if you look at a football culture that is thriving, that is a side of football culture that
it's thriving. It's growing at all levels. I mean, there's
all
you
clubs,
keep seeing
exactly.
wee groups are basically wee boys, basically. But
I thought you were going to use a word with negative connotations there, but that's fine.
no, it's and they're going to see like their Sunday league team, their junior team,
Yeah.
and it's great. I mean, that's exactly what you're kind of after. They just want something to do that's relatively cheap and affordable with their mates, and that's fine. If football should be doing everything they can to try and encourage that.
Yep.
Even if that means sticking them into a bit of a stadium that is basically derelict. So it doesn't matter what they do, they're not going to damage it.
Yeah.
You know, but if they don't run in the park and like batter somebody, fine, it's fair game. Like, crack on.
That's the thing. You do want to promote that side of things and keep it towards the non-violent side of things, impossible. You know, I think it's hard to have one without the other.
You're always going to have individual idiots, and
Yes.
that kind of side of things is always going to be there. It doesn't matter the level, whereabout in the world it exists. It's up to the authorities, and I mean like the police as opposed to clubs, to go and stop that. That's on them. It's not on the clubs. It's not on the wider support or the wider ultras groups, movements, whatever you want to call them. You know, these guys exist. That's up to society to go and deal with that. But at the end of the day, that is what's getting people in. That's what's creating a bit more of an atmosphere. I mean, they kind of the moon had more atmosphere than the Falkirk Stadium up till the ultras kind of came in, and it's getting slightly better.
So that's the thing. When we were at the Wraith game a few weeks ago, it would have been dead apart from the sort of constant jibing and things like that. And I'd love to know the actual impact that has on players. Do you just get used to it after a while and it loses its sort of bounce, or do you respond to it? I know recently, with the American tariffs coming in, there's a lot of Canadian American sports playing against each other in terms of ice hockey, football things, and people have been wondering if the Canadian players are now going to be G'd up in the Canadian teams more than they are against it. So they're actually playing they're playing this like World League face-off thing at the moment.
Right,
So they usually have a 2-week break, and they've sort of invented their own World Cup exclusively with players that play in that league.
Shock.
So it's a sort of substitution. Instead of having an all-star tournament,
Which certainly the baseball will have that kind of thing.
this is what they're doing instead, because it kind of comes and goes whether people are interested in that. So it's USA, Canada, Sweden and Finland.
Right, the only 4 countries in the world that actually play ice hockey at such a level.
There's a pretty big one that is being excluded, but
Is there? Czech Republic?
no, Russia.
Who?
Yes, I think they're probably the second or the third biggest nation to play ice hockey in the world. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't think SPFL would get very far with an international tournament mid-season. You'd be struggling to put together 5-a-side teams.
Maybe that's what they need. There should be a winter shutdown, and they should bring back the Masters.
You did like the Masters, didn't you?
The Masters was good. Actually, that's the thing. If you're a Masters fan or remember 10 at 60s, Braehead Arena is where that used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they've done it once or twice here.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to do it at the old Falkirk ice rink as well.
Did they?
Yeah.
I would
ice rinks are a thing that's dying off, and that's a bit sad.
Well, indoor football, arena leagues, something like that,
Aye, futsal.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's what they're promoting, I think, Croatia and things like that for young footballers and things. Something to do on Friday nights instead of watching a League of Ireland game or Welsh game. Who's it that plays on Fridays?
The Cymru Premier League.
Cumbria. Our favourite Wrexham building a new stand, by the way. Did you see that?
The Cop.
Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, how unique.
Oh, I think that European idea's gone to pot, hasn't it?
Oh, I hope so. That's a joke.
So, yes. So, 51 minutes. What have I got? Duke has left Aberdeen.
Let's see that, actually.
Laganes.
I actually went through quite a lot of Aberdeen signings, just for a laugh.
Who?
Ode Dabag. Dabaga.
Where's he come from?
Sporting Charleroi. He's 26.
Is this the Palestinian?
Yes.
Aye. Okay.
I've seen a few kind of dodgy comments on Twitter about him, so poor guy.
Positive or negative?
Oh, very well, one negative and then a pylon on the negative guy.
All right.
Which, given the Twitter algorithm, I was quite surprised at.
Yeah. I don't think, actually, to be fair, Twitter's actually pro-Palestine or pro-Israel. Like, you tend to see...
It's probably more pro-Israel.
Oh, I would have gone the other way. I would have said it's more pro-Palestinian.
No, I don't know what I've been looking at on Twitter then, because my
Maybe
algorithm...
we have different algorithms, that's the thing.
This is it.
We're not expressing an opinion either way.
Is that what you have? I was going to say, are you left or right on the camera?
What do I even mean? So yeah, that's one from left field.
Very random. Like, he's hardly played.
This is the thing with all these signings in the Premiership. What is it, Alfie Dorrington from Tottenham or something like that?
Yep, Spurs. Aye, 19-year-old on loan, played 3 games, lost all 3.
Okay, brilliant. Another random from Europe.
Mats Kotsner from Ferencváros, Alexander Jensen from Brom Podgorna, who I'm led to believe are Swedish top flight team.
What are we doing?
You paid over £500,000 for this guy.
Did we?
Yeah.
What did we have? Oh well, to be fair, they'll have punted the Duke for money.
I can't be that much though. Like,
I mean, if you're getting 250 grand for Callum Morrison allegedly, how much are you getting for a Duke? Between 500 and a mil?
Nah, probably 750. Yeah, I'll split the difference.
Would be great. Negotiators.
Who else you got? Christos Tobers from Grasshoppers.
Okay.
Paid just under 700 grand for him.
So we're done for, really, in this second half of the season.
Phenomenal amount of money.
They're desperate. And but how? Still how? How can Jimmy Tilleen go and win every single game bar one in that first half of the season?
He played brilliantly well. Granted, a few of those results were maybe like lastminute.com jobs, but it does the job.
How do you go from that to losing every single game in the second half of the season?
Teams figured out how to play against Aberdeen. And he is so stubborn in changing. When he was interviewed, I listened to his kind of pre-match interview, I think it was just Saturday past there. God, I forget who it was. It was against Hibs. I can't remember who was interviewing him.
Hibs at the weekend.
Basically, the system, like, the kind of inflection point was that, oddly enough, the last home game, or Hibs' last home game against Aberdeen, David Gray changed his system, the way he would typically want his teams to play. World of difference. Jimmy Tilleen stuck to his guns, will not change, and is refusing to change.
Yeah,
and it's just getting progressively worse. Now, is it not about time that he kind of looked himself in the mirror a wee bit and went, I think we need to start figuring this mess out? And
the thing is, he's built such a force field because of that run of games. I
mean, that has to be cracking. I mean,
I don't think unless they get relegated.
But I fairly believe Aberdeen fans are so hard-headed to think, no, this guy is the man.
Oh, they're not behind him. Like, definitely not them. But I think leadership, he has a lot of kudos there.
Like, it makes no sense. I mean, they must have spent so much money getting him in, and obviously all the money they're spending on getting new players in. they're too far gone to obviously admit defeat.
There's no European money coming in next year, and you must have been burnt through it all.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be a lot of Miofsky money probably still trickling in.
Even still, there has to be some serious pressure applied to this guy to actually get the finger out and start to actually maybe think about changing it, even for a while, even if it starts to get a couple of results, just to stop the rot, basically. And then you can go, right, we're feeling a bit more confident again, and we can go back to the way he wants to play. But until he gets over himself, Aberdeen are going to struggle and continue to struggle.
Not a fan of signing randoms, and these guys blatantly don't have the upside that Miofsky and Duke had.
I mean, they've hardly played. I mean, looking through it, they've hardly played any games. None of them have played in Scotland before. None of them know the league.
No, it's you're on a hiding.
There's no leaders in there.
Hibs have not.
I'm sounding like Michael Stewart and what get stuck in here. Like
Hibs have been quite quiet as well on the transfer front.
Yeah, I think for them it was more.
They've shifted a few bodies out.
A few bodies came out. The critical thing for them is Ellie Johan that's kicking around for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I think a lot of talk of him. I think it was down south. I can't remember where. I think keeping him to the end of the season is fine. Like I mean, they've turned it around. Something seems to be working for them.
Yeah,
in such a kind of manner.
I'm happy with that. I'm a big fan of David Gray.
Yeah, I mean, I've got sort of nothing against the guy. I think the kind of ill feeling towards Hibs is beginning to subside because we've been so bad and just not in that fight anymore.
Yeah.
From a kind of Falkirk point of view. So
and they beat Hearts not so long ago for the first time in a while.
Yeah, at Tynecastle. I think it was the first time Hibs Hearts derby hadn't finished in a draw, but I found that quite interesting. The only transfer stuff I was actually going to pick up on was Dundee United have signed. Remember Alan Campbell?
Yes.
Played for Motherwell quite a few seasons ago. Went to Luton, done really quite well with them. I think he was in the team that.
He was going to be one of the next big things.
Yeah, this is it. He was the promotion field. Certainly League One into the Championship. He must have been involved in the Championship into the Premiership.
Yes.
He subsequently went on loan to Charlton at the beginning of this season and has been rank rotten. Holy moly.
What happened?
So his loan's been terminated and he's basically been shipped up to Dundee United. I have no idea what's happened to the guy. He's completely fallen off it.
How did Dundee United get so good as well, by the way? How did Jim Goodwin learn how to manage a football team? Like, tell me how.
It's coincidence.
Does he have a Darvel kit on his wall constantly that he turns to every time that like enrages him to like
scarred for life?
Exactly.
Because he got him. It's Sam Dalby, striker, who's on loan from Wrexham. He's actually looking quite a good player. I think they were a little bit worried he might be recalled, but obviously managed to keep a hold of him.
Well, that's good news for them.
That's good business. But
it's also good to see a resurgent Dundee United. You know,
it's another good challenger.
To have another new firm club. Again, it's not been that good for a long time, really.
Very up and down.
Well, they've been a championship team for a long time, haven't they? You know?
Mostly down. So they signed Alan Campbell. The other one they signed is Lewis Fiorini. I don't know if that's a name.
Wonderful name.
I don't know if you recognise the name. So this guy came through the Manchester City Academy.
Right.
He was a Scotland under 21
right.
international, really quite highly rated. He's another guy who was at Charlton last season and played a grand total of 5 games.
I think we're seeing that Charlton here is not having upside for many careers.
It's not good for Scottish players, as it transpires.
I don't think it's good for any players.
Scott Fraser, no, that's a lie. The Charlton Academy is. See, when you look back at the Charlton Academy, the players that they've produced are absolutely incredible. That Adamola Lookman plays for Atalanta United.
Right.
Not Atalanta United.
You play for England?
Atalanta. Probably will eventually. But he's won the Europa League.
Nah. Oh, who cares about Europa League?
One of the best players in
Champions League or bust.
Scott Parker, I think, came through at Charlton.
Oh, you're going back now.
Oh,
no.
It's the names that kind of spring to mind. But
Jeffrey Podfoot back in 1934 came through the Charlton Academy.
The Charlton Academy is something to look at. So, Fiorini kind of came in. He had a really bad Achilles injury, which kind of ruled him out most of last season. I think he's really struggling to kind of
recover,
overcome that, and get game time. So, I kind of hope for his sake. He's probably too far gone from now to be a Scotland international. I think he's lost that development phase.
There is space still. So
well, this is it. There was another kind of Scotland youth that was kind of coming through that was quite interesting. Was it Debbie Mabudi? His move club. He's went to Hamburg on loan.
All right.
Quite interesting. He's playing for Anderlecht. I think he's kind of associated to over in Europe. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Was it Doak that people were looking at?
He's still at Stoke.
So they...
Him and Tommy Conway.
Doak's the one that's Liverpool, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's on loan.
Aye.
Yep.
But I think there was interest in him, and that seems to have. Evan Ferguson's been a curious one, actually, in the Premier League, come to think about it.
He's for West Ham.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, because he was like very highly rated.
He was the hottest thing since sliced bread, and I have seen his goal totals have just tanked.
Yeah, massively. I think.
So is that maybe a one-hit wonder that's not going to pay back?
I think it's one of these kind of guys, again, overhyped by, I know he's Irish, but he's overhyped by the English media as this is a spectacular
homegrown
product out of the Premier League, and
Yes.
it's not working. See Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, 300,000 a week.
Sickening.
I mean, look at what happened to Coutinho. Like he did initially. Was it Aston Villa? He initially did quite well for, and then dropped off the face of the planet again.
Oh, holy moly! No, it was Liverpool first, was it not?
I think he did quite well at Liverpool. What is it?
He did well at Liverpool and then went to Barcelona.
It didn't go well at Barcelona, and then he went on loan to Aston Villa.
Yes,
And they did quite well at Aston Villa, and they bought him.
It was awful.
And then it went badly.
Aye.
So many players these days are just wasting their careers making the wrong decisions.
But these guys, it's too many clubs with too much money chasing too few highly talented players.
Yeah, I mean,
So the kind of guys who would otherwise have just kind of drifted along playing for like your Newcastle and been a kind of enigmatic kind of talisman player is now worth hundreds of millions of pounds.
Alexander Isak.
Salary plus. Yeah, I mean, this is another one. Very good striker. Compared a lot to Thierry Henry, he's not that good. It's just not. I mean, he's a good striker in the Premier League for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Is he a Champions League quality striker? Probably not. He's too slight.
Well, hopefully find out next year.
Yeah, Europa League maybe.
They're close. Are they not fourth at the moment?
Yeah, they're fourth. I don't think they'll make it. I think Man City will still beat them. But
Not without the misses anymore, Pep.
Apparently he's been scratching his head and everything. He's a mess.
Was he?
Oh yeah.
Apparently he's very obsessive, they say. Just football.
What a guy.
Indeed. Anyway, I think that about rounds us off for this week.
We're dragging ourselves over an hour.
Yeah, well, we got some interesting stuff at the end there. So it's thank you very much for listening from myself, Paul.
Yeah, cheers guys, all the best.
And see you next week. Bye bye. No, hold on. You're in Gran Canaria, aren't you?
Yeah. 2 weeks.
See you in our fortnightly.
Ciao, adios.
Ciao, adios, Andrew.